Hello everybody. Hello and welcome. And first of all, thank you for listening to this new album that I released today. It was a super nice experience. Something quite out of my normal production. But yeah, I really liked it. So, I collected a couple of questions about the album, The Inner Shore, during the live stream, the premiere, sorry, of. Yeah, maybe I should start answering to them. Um, okay. Mm, the first question was who wrote lyrics? Was a mutual thing or one of you did it? So in this album there are two tracks with the collaboration of Deepwit. She wrote the lyrics and also sings, of course. And yeah, it was not a mutual thing. I just wrote the music and she wrote the lyrics and sang on the song that I recorded. So basically, it's the the idea behind this album, and this is also an answer to the other one about the artwork. Is that I wanted some unpredictable elements inside of the album. So I just asked to Deepwit and to Andras to make something about it. So yeah, basically, I started with the idea of accepting everything that will come out from some collaborations. So it's kind of, a free speech between me and the people who are collaborating with me. And this is, yeah, another pinch of unpredictability into this work. Just because the unpredictable side of this kind of music, it's something that I consider one of the most important thing on a theoretical level and also on a musical level and on a visual level, of course. Let's move on with another question. Yeah, I agree at the adventures, and especially in this kind of work, in my kind of work, it's something really important to let people do their own thing. Yeah, because it adds something more to the final result. Actually, I don't want to ask too much because I want people to just decide on their own what they feel about the music, what they feel about the concept behind the project, etc. Exactly. True, Kira. That's the best part of collaborating. It becomes more than you can on your own. Totally. Exactly. So Nick asked, I'm curious about the writing process of this type of work with you and Deep. As I said before, I just send her the recordings that I made of these two songs and just told her, do what you want about them. and she created those two beautiful vocal tracks and lyrics for them, and I was amazed, obviously, because they are super cool, and they had that that spice. They are not just a spice; they are the main course of this songs. We need to hear about how you wrote and rehearsed for this. Okay, this is quite interesting because, as I said in the beginning, it was recorded live. So every song is recorded live. No tracking, no overdubs, no sampling. Always for the same reason, basically. The idea is to give the feeling of something played live, actually. So yeah, because there is this. As I said, I am gonna repeat this word a lot of times today. Of course, there is this unpredictability on the kind of music that you can create with no input mixers that I wanted to show into this album. I tried to make something completely different from, well, not completely, but kind of different from the usual, soundscapes and sound design things and ambient noisy stuff. I tried to create something more, some more short songs with a little bit of structure, and I, for every single song, actually, I recorded more takes of them. So I had my no input setup with 4 mixers, except for the last track it was a track that I recorded last summer. And hey, Deep, hello, how are you? And thank you for your amazing job. So yeah, the track, it was recorded like last summer, so a lot of months ago, and it was recorded on 2 mixers, and it was just a free improvisation actually. But the other tracks, I recorded more take of them, so they were. I had a bunch of takes, and I choose the best one. I just set up the mixers for every track. So I tried to use them as different instruments inside of a song. So one mixer is used for the rhythms as a sort of drum machine. And also there is another one for the bass line, and another one for some melodies, and another one for some more variation on these melodies and little bit of harmony. So it's sort of trying to figure it out how to use them in a more classical way for a song. And that was the process. I just set them up. And also there is a question by Seth, I think. Yeah, how did you make this sound so consonant and pretty with no input? So yeah, basically I just tuned them. I tuned them at the beginning of the recording session, so I perfectly know where they will go. So yeah, the overall tuning of the track, with obviously some variations, of course. There is a lot of EQs and effects, of course. Most of them are live. So the sounds, it's a bit sculpted at the beginning. Hey, Flo! Welcome. There is a little bit of sound sculpture at the beginning. So on one mixer there is some EQ and some reverb. On another one there is an harmonizer and a delay, and then on another one there is, a couple of things. And then I recorded a couple of takes and choose the best one. Actually, the songs were recorded before the lyrics and the vocals. Also, there is a question about it. So, yeah, basically, I recorded the whole album in January, between November and January, and then what bow did you use on the mixer? The smooth sounds are so nice. Yeah, that's true. That tuning thing still reads like black magic to me. It's like a non-intonated instrument that retunes as you play. Yeah, that's true. You can have some reference points, actually, while playing no input mixers. If you are going to use them in a more musical way, you should totally try to find those spots, for example, on the knobs or on the faders or the buttons, which shift, for example, the internal routing of the mixer. So there are those spots that you can use to go from one state of the feedback, so one tuning, one note of the feedback, or one state, general state, one rhythm, one bass line, to another. So if you use, for example, a button which changes the internal routing of the auxiliary outputs, you can use it, just press it to change the state and the note of the feedback, and repress to go back to the previous state. So you can create this kind of, repetitive movement, so something predictable. And that's a little trick to try to build something more structured with no input mixers. Or also, the 0 point or the flat point on the EQs, there are always those little click in the knobs, or faders. You can go from full to 0. So yeah, this is a little strategy to try to create some more predictable results into the new input mixers. Did you have all the songs ready before you recorded? Nope. Actually, I recorded them in different moments, and I just decided to start with this idea of creating songs, so with a little bit of structure, and just decided on the fly the day that I decided to record them. I just set everything up, looked for the most interesting, rhythmical patterns or bassline patterns, or notes or sounds. I just looked a little bit for them at the beginning of the recording session, and then I recorded the tracks, actually. So there is a lot of free improvisation in this work. I had a structure in mind when I recorded them, but it was kind of the sound matter, the sound sources are just what I came up with that day that I recorded them, actually. So yeah, basically there is a lot of, as usual, improvisation and unpredictability in in this work. As I said, it's one of the main contents of this work, and it's a little bit of a sum up of my experiences. Yeah, I really like the artwork for the album. Did you do it yourself or have someone else do it for you? What was the inspiration behind it? As I said, the artwork was made by Andras. There is a link in the description of the album. You can go and check his work because they are amazing, obviously. And the idea the idea behind it, it's too big word. I just told Anders, would you like to make some artwork for me? Have this idea of this album, which is kind of weird pop song structure album involving just no input mixers. Let's go with what you think it could visually be. So he sent me a first sketch, and then we talked a little bit about it, and then he sent me another one. And yeah, at the end of this process, I just came up with this. The main idea behind it is just showing this mixer and showing its inner life. So there are those two creatures that are some kind of inner demons, but at the same time they are not just demons, they are creatures, living creatures. They are wild creatures maybe, but at the same time they has this beauty of the nature of something alive. So maybe there is this contrast between those really fleshy creatures and this super squared and electronic and not alive instrument. So it's a sort of they are complementing each other. They are creating the whole image of this process of making music with this kind of instruments. Yeah, I think that's the main idea behind it. Let me check if there are any other questions. How do you make this sound so consonant and pretty with no input? Yeah, just EQs and reverbs, actually. If you want to have the raw sounds of the no input mixers, you can just send them to your audio interface or to your speakers and listen to the raw sounds. I actually prefer to use some effects on them. Because they are like the bones of a body, but the effects adds the muscles and the flesh and the skin. So to a raw sound, if you add, for example, a reverb, you give it more space, you make it more alive. Or you can use some EQs for cutting out some frequency that you don't need. For example, in this song there is a lot of EQings because, of course, I had to make them sound full in the full spectrum range. But actually, even just one sound of a no input mixer can fool the spectrum range. So I need to make a lot of EQs and such kind of things. How much did you do in post-production and which reverbs do you use? Well, which reverbs do I use? Actually, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 reverbs. There is a TC Electronic, Hall of Fame 2. And then I have 2 racks, maybe you can see them, the back of them here. are two rack size reverbs, multi-effects. One is from TC Electronic, the other one is from Zoom. They are pretty old and cheap, and it's something that you can find for really cheap because no one wants them. So you can find them for really cheap, and they are super. Yeah, they sound pretty digital and fake in some way, of course. But with such a raw sound source, I really found interesting to use some very bad sounding effects because also no input mixer can sound really bad, and so I think it's a good mixture of things. How much did you do in post-production? Well, actually, a lot. Yeah, not a lot. It depends on the tracks, because some tracks were recorded just as a stereo. So 2 tracks in this album were recorded during a live stream. Yeah, during a live stream. So they are just a stereo track. In post-production, I worked a lot on the frequencies and on the position of the frequencies in the stereo field to give them more space, obviously. So yeah, there is kinda a lot of work. Some tracks were recorded in multi-tracks, and I recorded them, out of the stream, of course. And yeah, but I just made a couple of adjustments with compressors and EQs for the general production. I didn't use too much effects. I think I didn't use kinda any digital effects in the DAW. I tried to to give the feeling of something played live. Yeah, that was one of my main goals with this work. Most mixers have less outputs than inputs. Do you use split cables to feedback one output into multiple inputs? Okay, well, it's kinda true, Pilbug. It's not really completely true, actually, because in a mixer, for example, in one of these, which are pretty simple and basic Behringer shitty mixers, you have a lot of outputs. Maybe they are a bit hidden, but they are there. So you have, for example, the 2 main outputs. You have 2 alternative outputs. You have the control room outputs, which are 2. You have the headphones outputs, which are another 2. You have the tape out, another 2 outputs. So you have really a lot of outputs. You can also there is the auxiliary outputs. So you can really patch everything into every single input channel of your mixer. It's kinda it's kinda true that you have less outputs, but sometimes you have more outputs than inputs if you use all of them, really all of them. Yeah, Nick, some of them has more outputs than inputs. Yeah, but I don't use split cables. I don't use split cables to send one output to more than one input, actually. Let me check if I have another question from the Premiere. Oh well, same question but opposite. No, I don't use split cables, actually, in my no input mixers. Still curious of the Grey Behringer mixer. Xenis has been gas material for long. Yeah, they have a really noisy circuit, so they are perfect for no input. If you turn up the gain of the preamps, you can hear a lot of background noise, and this is just perfect for no input. Even if they are broken, this one is kind of broken. The Xenix one, it has some, dust in the circuit and some, yeah, it's not working properly. So, but it's perfect for no input. I think I said it in the podcast we set, but I love to use only used mixers or broken mixers, because there is a sentimental thing behind it, maybe sentimental idea behind it, because a broken mixers, well, not completely broken, but yeah, with some faders then doesn't work, or with some channels that is half broken, such kind of things. Every mixer has his life, has its story, and it sounds like that with no input mixing techniques, also because it's broken in a certain way. So it's kind of a unique instrument with its own life and its own faulty parts, failing parts. Yeah, maybe I'm a bit too sentimental. What about stereo outs on a 1/4-inch, 1/8-inch TRS cable? Must need an Y. Yeah, I think you can do it. Actually, there is no problem in using, all the cables that you think that can be interesting to patch outputs and inputs. Yeah, you can actually you can do everything. I think it's just a matter of it's just like on a normal instrument like a synthesizer or a guitar. You can change the string and use most smooth strings instead of most crackling and metal-y strings. Or in a synthesizer, you can change the patches. It's yeah. It's just a choice. At that point, it's just a choice about how to use an instrument and what kind of result you want to reach. Let me check if there are any other question in the last one, maybe. When did the idea of this project come to you, and when did you start working on it? Hello, Rod. Yeah, that's also a point, Andras. Second life opportunity for many said stray mixers. There is also this concept behind this project, that something that is really broken, it's not really broken. Something that is broken is valuable, and it can say something interesting. Yeah, and I think it's a good idea and a good thought about this whole project. I encourage people to plug cables, wherever they want on their mixer and experiment with this. Actually, just be careful with the volumes. That's the only point. So take always the output that you're using at the lower volume possible to hear something, because you can really fry your speakers sometimes, or your ears if you have headphones. Just go back to the question. I started with this project, I think, in November 2019 or October. It's a really old idea, actually, and I recorded it mostly in December and January. So yeah, it's not so old, but it's interesting to to work in a the idea, for me, most interesting idea about this project, it was to use no input mixers in a completely different way. After 1.5 years of experiments, and a lot of exploration, I kind of feel that I found a way to use them that is it's just a bit too limited, maybe. So I tried to make something completely different. If I understood you correctly, okay, yeah, much all is recorded live. Okay, just answer to this one. Okay. Well, yeah, I answered to everything, I think. And as usual, thank you all for being here. I'm super glad, and it means really a lot to me. Really, really. It's super important to have you here. Without you, this album, I think without this album, yeah, a lot of the stuff that I made during this last year would have a less sense, less meaning without you. Petulator, I don't know these things. Always use limiter, definitely. Yes, or different levels of gain. For example, I use there are 3 different levels of gain in my setup. So the 2 mixers that I'm using in this last time are connected to another mixer. So I'm controlling their volume from the other mixer, and then the volume of the mixer is sent to the sound card. So yeah, I can control the volume of all of them via this mixer and also via the gain of the sound card. So yeah, I don't use limiters, but it's a good idea anyway to use them. Sometimes it's really useful. Thank you all. Thank you all. You make me emotional. Yeah, and then I think we can go on with the next topic of this stream, because it's just a talky stream, this one. The future of the quarantine session. So here in Italy, the situation is slowly drifting to more openings, and a lot of stuff, and places are going to reopen pretty soon. So yeah, I think that I will go back to work pretty soon, like in 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. And yeah, I have a full-time job, so I think I'm gonna have a lot less time to live stream and to create contents in live streams. So basically, I'm thinking of new formats. I think I want to continue making live streams. Actually, maybe not daily live stream, but 1-2 times per week. And with different contents. During these quarantine sessions, I discovered a lot of different formats. So, for example, there are the improvisation sessions, the production sessions, the soundtracks, live soundtracks, the interviews and listening sessions, the radio. So I explored a lot of different formats. So I'm gonna plan a little bit more on the content that I'm going to live stream, and yeah, make maybe 1 or 2 of them per week. Yeah, it's good news that that I go back to work, because I'm really poor in this moment. So I need to pay my bills and such kind of stuff, and I need a little bit of money. So it's a good news, but it's also a little bit of a sad news, because these last months were dedicated to all this project and collaborations, and to create all this connection between people around experimental music. And I'm a bit sad that I probably will not be able to dedicate so much time to it. But yeah, we will figure it out anyway. I'm not gonna leave, of course. I'm still here, and I'm going to create more music, more experiments, and more things in the future with you and for you, of course. Yeah, this is really important. Anyway, the quarantine session, I think I'm going on until the episode number 60, and then I'm gonna stop. No, I don't have any Patreon account, Pilbug. But if you want, you can go on my Bandcamp page and support me, just giving me 2 cents for one album. They are free to download, but if you want to throw some money in them, I'm really happy about it. So yeah, I'm going on until the episode number 60, which is, I think there are 7 episodes. And then we'll see. I'm gonna think something, and maybe start with the 2 or 3 live streams per week. That's a good plan, Deepwit. That's a really good plan. Again, thank you all for supporting me, for being here, for enjoying the time together. It was a tough moment for everyone, and I hope all this project helped somehow you to be more happy about this time. So yeah, I think that's it for today. Yeah, it's a good. I think it's a good summary of what will come next, and yeah, about the album that was released. I hope to see you tomorrow, actually. Same time, same space, and yeah. Again, thank you very much. And see you tomorrow. Bye bye.